Good morning, 6th grade. We will continue with Chapter 2, Lesson 2 today. So those last couple pages here. So I will let you go ahead and listen and answer the questions as they come up.
Trade in world history. Guiding question. What are the benefits and disadvantages of trade? Trade has been important to many different civilizations. What makes trade between different peoples so common? Why do people trade? Two countries trade with each other when both sides can gain something from the exchange. Exports are goods shipped out of a country and sold somewhere else. Imports are the goods and services that a country buys from other countries. Countries want to export goods of which they have a large supply. They want to import goods that are hard to find in their own lands. For hundreds of years, Europeans traded wool, gold, and silver with Asians for rare goods such as silk and spices. Early civilizations often traded by bartering. When people barter, goods and services are traded for other goods and services. For example, a merchant might trade fish for furs. Eventually, some ancient peoples invented money. Money had a set value, could be traded for anything, and was easier to carry.
Okay, so when we talk about exports, again, those are goods that are shipped out of the country and sold anywhere else. So those are goods that we as the United States produce and then ship to other countries and sell to other countries for money. And then imports are things that we get from other countries that are imported into the United States. So if you think about like your clothing that you wear, or items around your house where it says, made in the US or made in China or made in Japan or made in Hong Kong, if they're made somewhere else, then those would be imported into the US. If they are made in the US, then those might be things that we actually ship out of our country to other countries that are in need of those. Okay. And then when it talks about a bartering system, so before we ever had money and currency like we have now, we would have what they call a bartering system. And so if you had furs that I needed and I had food that you needed, we would just trade. We'd say, okay, I'll give you this much food for this many furs. So that was the way that many ancient civilizations were able to get goods and services. So that was kind of the first way of trading, was just that bartering. And now our trade usually has to do with money. So we usually purchase and buy things with money. But if you think about it, sometimes, I'm not sure if a lot of you do like baseball cards or Pokemon cards or things of those nature, or even other toys or collectibles that you have. You might trade and barter with your friend and get something that you have or you don't have that they have and that you want. So another idea of trading and bartering.
Barriers to trade. Barriers can make international trade difficult. Conflict can stop trade. Geography can make it hard to travel between two places. Sometimes a country chooses to cut off contact with other peoples. In the 1600s, Japan limited trade with European countries. The Japanese wanted to limit European influence on Japanese society. Finally, nations may try to limit or ban trade that hurts producers in their own country. For example, in the Great Depression, U.S. farmers were worried about food imports from Europe. They feared that European farmers might drive them out of business. So they asked the U.S. government to raise taxes on imported European crops. The government did so to protect American farmers. This led other countries to tax U.S. goods to protect their own farmers and businesses.
All right, so looking at our infographic here, let me go and pull that a little bit larger for you. This just gives you some ideas of the different imports that the U.S. Imported into the U.S. Over the years, and different things that we exported and how much money it's worth. So if you look at, let's say, in 2009, we exported $1.5 trillion worth of goods to other countries. But at that same year in 2009, we brought in goods worth more than $2 trillion dollars from other countries. And those were like the lowest ones. Look over here, we have almost $3 trillion worth of imports in 2014 and about $2.25 trillion of exports, so things that we've shipped out of the country. So just kind of a pretty cool little graph to look at and to see how much money we in goods and services that we export and that we import from other countries.
Global trade. Today, most of the world's countries take part in some form of international trade. The process is called globalization. Countries like the United States have numerous trade partners. Many large companies also have business branches in more than one country. Much of this growth has come from efforts to increase free trade. The goal of free trade is a world market where people are free to choose what to buy and sell. People who favor free trade say that it boosts trade. It also cuts the prices of goods. These changes help economies grow. Those against free trade say that it makes imports and foreign labor costs too cheap. They fear that a country will lose companies and jobs to other countries. Globalization has increased the ties among the world's economies. In 2015, the United States had the largest economy in the world. The U.S. economy was bigger than that of the next two leading countries, Japan and China, added together. Every day, Americans buy and use goods made in other countries. At the same time, American goods and services are sold around the world. When the U.S. economy struggles, it affects the entire world. The questions about what to make, how to make it, and who should buy it are no longer just national issues.
All right, so that leads us to the end of Chapter 2, Lesson 2. Please make sure you answer the remaining questions, and you have... That was me pausing for a second, sorry. Have a great rest of your day, and I will see you all tomorrow.